I thank the gentleman for yielding and for his leadership on this issue. Iran is a nation led by a regime threatening the stability of the free world. That is nothing new. Iran has a long history of supporting terrorism and working to overthrow foreign governments. Since 1984, over 30 years ago, the United States has called Iran a state sponsor of terrorism, not only for their direct participation in attacks, but for their financing and other support for others who pursue terror. Iran has brought instability to the Middle East and does not act in good faith, blowing up mock U.S. warships, pledging to wipe Israel off the map, developing ICBMs, and chanting in their streets, "Death to America." The Iranian government threatens peace and democracy all across the globe. Nuclear weapons in the hands of our enemies harms the security of our freedoms and liberties that America cherishes and has worked so hard to defend. The Iranian government came to the negotiating table dealt an impossible hand, you would think. In Texas Hold'em, they'd call it a 7-2 offsuit. In 2009, when the economy was doing better in Iran, oil was $100 a barrel. Millions of Iranians took to the streets to overthrow their own government. The President of the United States essentially made it out to be just their problem, not ours, and did not engage. Look at the predicament we find ourselves in here today. The President of the United States comes into office inheriting pocket aces when he sits down at the table. And pocket aces happen to be the best hand you can have in Texas Hold'em. And the President sits down with the leadership of the Iranian government and asks to swap hands in the spirit of fairness and equality and good faith. Yes, the pocket aces earned on the backs of generations of Americans who have shed blood. They have fought and died to protect the United States, the greatest nation on God's green earth. And as a negotiating style, the President swaps hands with the bad guys. As we inch closer to the June 30th deadline, I want to reinforce that a bad deal is worse than no deal at all. Mr. President, you are getting played at the table. Take a walk. It's okay. It's time to strengthen your hand. Please do not prop up this regime with tens of billions of dollars in relief from sanctions. They are using that money to finance terror and overthrow foreign governments aligned with America. And that is with a bad economy and oil half the price. Don't make a slew of permanent concessions on our side in exchange for temporary concessions on the part of the Iranians. Show strength, not weakness. Too many Americans have shed their blood to make our great nation what it is today. We need strength in your voice and an articulation of resolve that there will be no death to America. It is not okay for Iran to wipe Israel off the map. We demand the release of our Americans being unjustly imprisoned in their nation, which includes a United States Marine. Where is the passion to free Amir now and the others of our fellow citizens wrongfully kept in their jails? Play the pocket aces, Mr. President. America's greatness, its exceptionalism, its strength is nothing to ever apologize for. About a month and a half ago, I was with former President George Bush, and a couple things that he said then strike me, and I want to reference them here today. One is very simple. He says, the world needs America to lead. And we can have a different understanding or philosophy on tactics of what that means. And it's something that we all know to be true. The world needs America to lead. The other was a story about him throwing out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium right after 9/11. He knew the stadium was going to be filled up. It was the World Series. It was right after 9/11. America was watching and they were looking for something to be able to celebrate. Now, he was down getting ready to come out of the dugout wearing a bulletproof vest, and he has a conversation with Derek Jeter. And Derek Jeter asked the president whether or not he was going to throw it from the top of the mound or the front of the mound. And the president asked, well, what should I do? And Derek Jeter says, you have to throw it from the top of the mound or they won't respect you. A few moments later, the president's getting ready to walk out onto the field. And Derek Jeter said one other last word of advice. His last words were, don't bounce it, they'll boo you. We need a perfect strike here, Mr. President, from the top of the mound. And don't bounce it. Don't bring home a bad deal. The resulting boos would be the least of America's problems. Right now is a time for strength and not weakness. And for that reason, I once again want to thank the gentleman for bringing this important special order here tonight, and I yield back.